Why I don't care about reparations? I don't. Question has been asked to me so many times, I cannot count anymore. This channel, obviously, we're going to be talking more about politics, and there was the Democratic National Convention that took place, and people were talking about whether or not they would support Kamala Harris or what they think of Barack Obama. And inevitably, in the circles that I run in the Black community, the conversation about reparations comes back up. And that is like the bellwether issue about whether for a politician and whether a politician really supports the Black community is their stance on reparations. Not things like, abortion or obviously the economy, or at the end of the day, though, when it really comes down to the nitty gritty, what do you think about this? Now, myself personally, I've always considered myself to be a great fan of Black people, being one myself. And I almost always, as a child, leaned towards the more liberal or Black conscious, whatever you want to call it, perspective. And what's wrong with saying, hey, man, my ancestors were locked up for a very long time in people's backyards, which retarded our growth. The growth of their children. It allowed other people's children to reap the rewards, and they turned those rewards into great profits for themselves, which created a system that now works as the original one did, with different size, different dynamics, right? New things, old things, but still it allowed this system to be created. And man, that is a tremendous head start for y'all. Or if you want to put it the other way around, that was an incredible detriment to us, because it was only until like 1965 that even in popular culture, people believed anything to be other than separate and unequal. So give me my money. If you guys made all these billions and billions and billions of dollars, we deserve our money. And on top of that, you've given reparations to other people as well. You paid reparations to the Japanese that were interned, right? And the other examples of reparations, all of those things, I understand to be true 100%. I know those things to be true. So when people ask me, do you believe in reparations? You think we are owed? And I'm a Black person from the United States, foundational Black America. Do I think that I am owed reparations? Yes, absolutely. 100%. There is a gigantically strong case for that, without a doubt, because everyone knows that there is something called generational wealth, and that people do pass on several things, not just money, but money being a big thing, but skills, mental health issues, all kind of different things come into play, right? When you have great suffering. So should you repay somebody for the damage inflicted in order to remedy the damage? Of course, I believe in that. I believe in punitive damages. I believe in restitution. I believe in reliance. I believe in every theory of damages if a person or an entity violates someone. And corporations are not human beings, but they have the rights of human beings. So if a corporation can be sued and is responsible for what it does, then so is a country. And a company, as long as it doesn't get shut down, will age forever. But guess what? It still owes for the damages that it did. And there's a bunch of companies that benefited from it and a bunch of people that did. Is that a real thing? Yes. So you may ask me then, why do I say I don't care about reparations? My answer is that, and specifically as it applies to whether or not I am going to vote for Kamala Harris or whether I'm going to vote for Joe Biden or whether I'm going to set my happy brown behind right on at home. It doesn't matter to me for that. Number one, again, I support the idea of it. I do believe it's owed. I have no problem with it. But is it something that I am going to waste my time beyond this video thinking about or expecting anybody to actually execute? No, I am not. Number one, it's never going to happen. And it's never going to happen for several reasons. Never going to happen because the people that, as soon as a conversation seriously starts taking place about it, you're going to have such a backlash from the population majority and every other single solitary minority group involved that is going to shut that down. Because then you're also going with a slippery slope, which means you repay all this, you got to repay all that too. So I don't think it's going to happen because I just don't think the people that have the money or that are in control are going to do it. They've never showed an inclination to do it. But I could be wrong. But I don't think that that is something that should be prioritized as far as what we're doing and what we're focusing on in our life right now. I believe much more that things like fatherhood, parenthood, things like that should be the main focus of what people do and not that particular pipe dream, because the people that owe it are never going to pay it. What else can I say? If you've got somebody out there, you know that somebody that owes you some money, and you can sit there and be mad, be like, look, this person owes me this money, but you know dang well they ain't never paying you. So you sitting around waiting to pay your bills off the promise that they're going to pay you back is a waste of time. You got to get to getting what you got to get to getting. And that is to create something sound for yourself, right? You're going to have to rebuild yourself instead of waiting to somebody to repay from some profit that they gained off of mistreating you. It's going to be tough, even if they actually believe that they're the ones that they do it, because they believe in culture and history and the effects and the benefits of our culture, unless it's their culture doing something bad to somebody else. However, I don't think they're ever going to do it. And I think it's a waste of time asking them for it. And closely associated with it, I don't want to ask them for it. Because, hey, man, we only got 80 years. How much can they afford it? Number two, is number one, they don't want to do it. Number two, they can't afford it. How much is a life worth? One life. How much is your child worth? Your child's life. That's why they gain so much wealth, is because, and I'm talking about the system, not any in particular person. When you take something as invaluable as a human life and you put a monetary price on it, man, let me tell you, the deal you're giving to the person that buys it, whatever the price is, whatever, reproducing, it's just, they couldn't afford it. When you think of the number of lives and the number of people, what fair deal could you possibly cut for that? That would be short of the entire value of the United States of America plus South America. It's an incalculable value. So even if they were willing to do it, the government was willing to do it. Once you enter into the phase of how much, you're inevitably going to be short of the pay. Because they don't have that much money. There's not that much money on the planet. But let's just assume that they come up with the money. And let's say we get $2 million a piece. What is $2 million? Let's imagine from an economic standpoint. You put $2 million in the bank account of everybody in a city that has 10,000 people in it. What do you think that is going to do to the price of housing in that particular town? Woo! It's going to go through the roof. What do you think is going to happen to the price of food? Woo! Price of everything, woo, goes up because you've dumped that much new cash into the economy. Think Mansa Musa and how Mansa Musa, the African king that is known as the richest man in modern history or known history, worth 400 billion, I think is that what they said he was worth. was so wealthy as he blew up the economy with incredible inflation everywhere he went because he brought so much money with him. What eventually happened, though? Where he came from wound up going broke because the people went and got that money from him by getting the land out of his people, flashing all that money. So what do you think is going to happen when you have all of that money get dropped in? You're going to have a lot of the same people that said they didn't want it to happen. They're going to charge that money right up out of your bank account because your money is in the same system. So that's why I say I don't really care about the issue as it relates to whether or not I would vote for someone or not. I had intended on doing this video about a topic like fatherhood and how much wiser an investment it is for people in our situation to become better trained on how to become fathers and to take our seed and to grow our seed into prosperous communities of people that can then support one another. And doing that by knowing and having a code for which you raise your children. If we all had that, that would be worth way more money than any amount of money that they could give us, because we would gain so much by losing so much less. Take, for example, the abortion rate that we have in the United States for Black women specifically. As a man, I don't blame the women exclusively. I blame the men just as much. They don't talk about men's reproductive rights. That's not a real thing to many people. But to me, and I think for Black American, male reproductive responsibility should be the number one thing that we train ourselves on, and on how to go into it and what to do when we're in it so that we can produce constructive people. And that could recreate ourselves better than taking a dime for every million that they owe us, having it pump right through their banks and their products take it right back out of our pocket, but yet raise the price for everything and ultimately put us in a as bad or worse situation than we're in right now, because it ain't all about the money. But that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.